What if I told you that the reason you keep quitting at your dream is because you was trained for emotional success as a kid without you even realizing it? See, a lot of us don't understand why we start stuff and we quit all the time. But by the end of this video, you will understand why the emotional training that you received since you was a little kid has affected you so much, and that's why it's hard for you to be productive at your dreams. What's up, it's Gene, this word to be great. And I'm here to help you go from feeling worthless to worthy so you can be more productive in your life. Now, I want you to think back to elementary school. I want you to think about middle school, high school, and even college. Now, think about this. When you was in school, you were trained to work towards getting a grade. So what happened? When you went to class all the time, you knew you had a predictable path to success. If you did all of your work, you got an A, B, C, or D, and that would be a passing grade, and you will move on to the next assignment. And if you keep passing, you will move on to the next grade. So let me show you on this chart how this emotional training for success has been wired into your mind. So let's take this right here, right? Let's say that this is school. You're in school, it doesn't matter what grade you're in. You start the school year, you start the class. You get an assignment. So that right there is you working on the assignment. Let's say you passed it. When you pass the assignment, right here, this is where your VTA is activated. This is called your ventral tegmental area. This part of your brain is responsible for releasing the neurotransmitter dopamine, which is called the feel-good hormone. So when you have that success, you're excited. Oh, I passed my class. Your parents are happy for you. Your teachers are proud of you. So what happened? You get addicted to this emotional success. So now you like, okay, you ready for the next assignment. You get the next assignment, you get another passing grade. You get the next assignment, you get another passing grade. And you keep moving on and on through school, passing grade after grade, because you have been trained for the emotional success. Now, it works the same way if you fail it. Let's say you go to school, right? And you continue to fail. You're like, man, I failed the class. Man, I failed this test. You do the next grade. You fail again. You go again. You fail again. What happens right here? You're emotional about failing. So therefore, because it's something that's very emotional, it is stored in your amygdala. This is the part of your brain that is responsible for your emotional decisions. So what happens when somebody keeps failing? Most of the time they do what? They drop out, right? They quit because they're like, I am so sick and tired of failing. And that amygdala, it reminds you of the feeling of disappointment, of failing, how people looked at you. Maybe your parents told you that you did a terrible job, or your teacher. And this also activates your fight and flight response. So anytime you think about school, you think about failing. So the amygdala say you need to avoid that, right? Now I want you to think about this, okay? This is the emotional path to success. This is what we have all been trained by society from the time we was a kid. We were trained to take this emotional path with a predictable outcome. Now let's talk about the logical path to success. Now, this right here is why a lot of people do not stick with anything, because when you have been trained for emotional path to success and then you try to take on the logical path, you're going to get a reality check. So let me go ahead and break this down. Logical. I almost forgot to spell logical. I'm going to put logical success. Okay, let's talk about this path. If you like this video, I want to ask you to like and share this video. Also, hit that bell so anytime I post a video, you're notified. Now, this is the logical path to success. Now, it starts out like anything, right? Let me talk about when you're trying to go after a dream or something like that. Now, normally what happens is you go after the dream or you get the dream, you're very excited. So you're like, you know what? I'm dreaming, I'm excited. So what happens? You got that dopamine rush. You haven't even had no success yet. You're just excited about the fact, or we can say you're excited because you now have a dream. So that's success for you. You have a dream now. You found something that you love. So you're excited about it. So what happens? That VTA releases that dopamine, that feel-good hormone. So you start going after the dream, right? You start working towards it. You're like, okay, I'm working towards this dream. And then you have some success. And it's like, oh my goodness, I have found my purpose. This is for me. You are so emotional about it. Now remember, you have been trained your life for emotional success. So this is normal to you. You're like, oh man, I'm loving this. You know what I'm saying? I am so excited about this. But this is what most likely happens. Right after that success, you go again, you try, you fail. And you like, man, I'm disappointed, but I'm gonna keep going. But then you have this long dry season. You have no success. You have failure after failure. You have disappointment. You have a lot of heartache. Now the amygdala is activated. It is reminding you of all the heartache, all the pain, all the setbacks. So what do you do mostly? You quit. Because you're not used to being on the logical path of success. Now, this is what helps you be successful when it pertains to the logical path of success. Now, let's look at this right here. You start a dream, right? You have some success. Then you fall. You're not having no success anymore. You have that disappointment down here. In order for you to survive this long dry season, which is called the process. So I want y'all to check this out. The process. In order for you to stay on the logical path of success, which is the process, you have to have self-discipline. Now, self-discipline is doing the productive things you say you're going to do despite how you feel that's going to lead to your desired success. You're not doing things off emotion. You're being consistent with discipline. If you're having a hard time getting off that emotional path to success and you find yourself quitting on your dreams, you start one thing, you start another thing, and nothing is being sustained. And you want help so you can get on that logical path of success and be productive till you realize that dream. I would encourage you to take advantage of the fact I am giving a free consultation about my Word to Be Great productivity coaching program. Now, this program is designed for those of you who have been on an emotional path. You quit on your dream. You start one thing and you start another because you cannot sustain the productivity. So if you are that person, put productivity below and I'll reach out to you and we can see if my program will be a good fit. So when most people, they try to go after a dream, the reason they quit is because they've been trained since they was a kid for emotional success. That is not going to work when you have to deal with a process because this is all logical success. You have to think logically, I am going through this process. It's allowed me to grow. I'm developing new habits. I'm developing new skills and knowledge so I can sustain the success that I eventually achieve. See, when I first started my speaking journey, right? My mentor, Robert, he's been with me all these years to this day. When I first got my first paid speaking engagement, I was very excited about it. You know, I was having that emotional reaction and I went to him, I said, Robert, I got my first speaking engagement. I got the video, I got paid. It was amazing. And he had no reaction whatsoever. And he said, Gene, you are in the romance stage. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you have to take the romance side of this. You emotional. Now, when he said this to me, I thought he was hating on me. I was like, man, this man just hate. You know, he's like almost 70 years old. He don't want to see me successful. He hating on me, right? And he said, Gene, you have to take the romance out of it because this is the beginning. Maybe you lucked up, you know what I'm saying? But there's a process you will have to go through so you can sustain the success that you want in your life as a speaker, and that's going to take time. And you don't have any no predictable outcome. And you know, when he said that to me, I did not believe it. But let me tell you something. That success was in 2014. Now, I started my speaking journey in 2012. From 2014 to now, I have had ups and downs, but I've had more of a dry period of no success than any success. Now, this has been a very big challenge for me because I had to think to myself, I am going through the process of becoming the person that can sustain the success that I want. So I had to think of ways that I could be consistent working on my communication skills while I am growing. So that's why I started shooting videos. So if you look at me over the years, since 2015, I've been shooting video after video after video. Why? Because I'm on the logical path of success. I'm not on the emotional path. I'm in a path of self-discipline. You see, a lot of you guys are not being successful, or you're quitting at your dream because you don't understand that that emotional path of success that you've been trained to stay on since you was a kid is not going to work for you to take the logical path to living out your dreams. See, when you're on that emotional path, you have a predictable outcome. You know, if you put the work in, you'll get the grade. You know, if you don't put the work in, you won't get the grade and you will fail. But when you're on the logical path of success, you can work every day and you don't know when that success is going to come. So you have to have the vision. You have to have the self-discipline to stay on the logical path of success despite not having a predictable outcome. So no matter what it is you're trying to accomplish in this world, I want you to make up your mind that you're going to stay on the logical path of success with self-discipline because you are worthy to be great.